the next level of my own personal growth and development and expansion and awareness really powered up.
None of us get out of here without some scarring, some shrapnel.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or form.
I know that we all jumped into the third dimension. We hopped into this particular life timeline because we're shifting into a fifth dimension frequency, a new earth frequency. And I would just say align with your inner source self, and that'll be your, if you want to call it, your ticket, your ride the rest of the way. Many of you who have crossed over into the near-death experience have experienced what is New Earth. This is why you call it bringing heaven to earth. It's us, because we're not allowing that to occur.
Now, before we jump into this episode, if this conversation resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you feel that needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep bringing this information out into the world and helps us awaken this planet. Thank you. I'd like to welcome to the show Tina Marie Bueno. How you doing, Tina?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I love your last name, Bueno. Means good in Spanish. So that's a good start. That's a good start. We're already starting off well.
Absolutely.
But thanks so much for coming. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
It's amazing here, and I absolutely love being here. It feels so great.
Oh, thank you. The in-persons are a different energy than Zooms, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And the vibe of this room has definitely changed since we launched it. It's just we have a lot of great imagery around and a lot of good energy around, but so many amazing people have sat in that chair with and amazing energies and have brought so much to this room that apparently the room is starting to pick it up.
Is holding it, is absorbing it. It's true. And you can feel all of their presence here.
Yeah. I had somebody come in the other day and they're like, should I take my shoes off? I'm like, no, It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's just a studio, but I get it. I feel it.
Because it's sacred. It's very sacred.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So you're a channel. Mm-hmm. And first and foremost, before we go down the channeling, we're going to do a little channeling later. What was your life like before the insanity of becoming a channel? Because I assume at 3 years old, you didn't go, you know what I want to be? When I grow up, I want to channel beings from another dimension publicly. So how was your life like before this came into your life? Or has it always been there?
Well, the one thing that I have had is that I've been empathic. And I think part of that empathic ability came in with in my childhood, and I think some of that came with clairaudience too. I didn't realize it, of course, any of that, but I grew up in a Catholic family. So,
recovering Catholic, yes.
Exactly. I grew up in a Catholic family, which, of course, religiously teaches you that, you're a sinner when you're born, and you're separate from that entity that's called God and all kinds of things, right? And someone else has to be in between. On top of that, my parents, we lived in different countries when I was growing up, and my dad was with the CIA. So very, very quiet, very, nothing public, very secret, obviously. I also grew up in an abusive household. Oh. And so that abuse was just suppressed. Everything was suppressed. And but that's important to the story. It really is to my story, because I really feel like everything that I'm about to tell you about my story is leading us up to today. And I don't mean just today. I mean what's going on in the world today. And I see that, after what I would realize is that I was hearing, and I could hear people's thoughts before they, walked in the room, and I could feel it. I could feel their energy, but I didn't, know what it was called, and I don't think that was a taboo subject when I was growing up. I just think it wasn't something that we talked about, and I went into all the way up to so when you come from abuse, you come from a place where, for example, you have conclusions about yourself. You have false beliefs about yourself, that you're not worthy, that you're not lovable, that there's all kinds of things, that you're powerless, for example. And when I got to college in Hawaii, I was in university, and I had this dream, and it was this. This is really amazing. So I had this dream, but I woke up inside the dream. And at the end of my bed was this beautiful luminescent woman. And she was just hovering there. She had this long white hair, and she was absolutely beautiful. And she looked at me, and she was touching me without moving her hands. And I felt like she was kind of hovering there. And I started kind of like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? And she smiled and she laughed and she said, I used to be you. And so that made a huge impact on me, not for another couple of decades, but it got me very interested in following dreams and understanding what dreams meant. I still wasn't awake because I was still living under the spell of my childhood and all of the conclusions that one carries with them, all of the beliefs. And so then cut to about a decade later, and I'm still asleep, and I'm living in Japan. I started a business with some friends from graduate school and a partner, and a friend of mine tells me, she says, I know this guy. Why don't you go see this guy? So I go see this guy. She doesn't tell me much about it. I've got a guy. Go see him. And so I go there, and he does a kind of like a little ritual, and he puts a golden acupuncture needle on my third eye. And right then, I immediately journey. And I didn't know what journeying was, but I knew immediately I went to other life timelines, and I could see my parents in my other life timelines and the roles that we had each shared or that we had participated. And, sometimes I was the bad guy, and sometimes they were the good guy, and just the opposite, right? So I saw that there was this kind of continuation of life timelines together. Then, and so that was a massive new understanding for myself. And this guy told me, he says, your life is going to change dramatically. And I had no idea what that meant until I had this one journey where I went into, it was just this castle, and it was walls around the castle. And inside the castle, I went down to the dungeon, and I saw a capsule, and in the capsule was my heart. And so I immediately put it into my chest, and all of a sudden, all the walls started crumbling, and the castle started crumbling. Well, after I finished that session, I was like, wow, that was really something, and I had cried during that session. And of course, later I would understand that that's what I had done as a child, was suppress my heart so that it wouldn't be hurt, right? And so then as I went through that process, it was very shortly thereafter, I went through the dark night of the soul, and it was massive. I mean, it was the death of all of those beliefs. Everything that I'd been carrying around in my entire life was gone. It was just unfolding. It was just like the walls coming down. And my relationship ended because I saw other things that then I wasn't able to see before. And also at that time, I started journaling. And I journaled like consistently for 90 days for 20 minutes. And I was writing. I was doing that automatic writing. But I was hearing a voice. And I started writing this book of what I called poems. And I didn't know how to do poems at the time. I mean, I could sit and play, but this was just flowing. And it was all about what was going on, all this undoing of everything, all this unlearning, all of this just releasing everything that I had accumulated after all those years. And my life completely changed from that moment. So even though I still didn't really know that I was being clairaudient at the time, it really kicked in at that time. And
how old were you?
I was in my 30s.
Okay.
35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I've
got many rotations around this planet.
As do I, my dear. As do I.
I have more than you do. Anyway, so then for the next, and that was in Japan, by the way. Mm-hmm. That was all happening in Japan. And everything, I was going through, all these light workers would show up just when I needed them. Like there was doing energy work and healing work. And I didn't have books to refer to. I think I got a hold of Bringers of the Dawn and Hands of Light and Barbara Marciniak and Barbara Brennan. And I think I got a hold of that. And I don't even know how I got a hold of those books, to tell you the truth. But I got a hold of those, and I just would, devour them. And even though I was having these experiences, I still didn't have it in a context of me necessarily, except for what I was going through emotionally, physically, mentally, everything. And after 9 months, I came out of this cave, and I was a new me. It was very different. I was no longer burdened by all of the old languaging from before, all of the old beliefs. And that word belief has the word lie in it, right? L-I-E right in the middle of it. I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that, but all of those beliefs about myself were gone. And I felt like I was knowing me for the first time. But it would still take another decade. I'm a slow learner. It took another decade for me then I was in corporate in the United States, and I was going through a process where I kept feeling this urge. I felt like it's really important to step into your power, to step into moving into what it was that I was about to move into. And I knew I wanted to open a center, and I knew I wanted to start doing, offering gifts. And at first, I started to hear messages for people. So when I heard the messages for people, I chose people that I knew so that they, still, this is back in 2004. Once again, not super popular yet. Now it's okay, but then it was just not popular. And at least the people that I was around, it just wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I chose people that I knew I wasn't insane, and I would do readings for them. And
as a channel?
As a channel. And I started channeling, and
so who
I
comes
just
through?
let it go.
Who came through?
It would be their higher self, their guides, their angels. Yeah, there was no one in particular at the time. Mm-hmm. And then when I went into the center and I started doing, I would get these questions. Okay, do you want to do group channeling? And I was like, well, I don't know. Can I?
Group channeling meaning groups on the other side, or group
No,
here?
just groups in the room, for example. And I said yes. I started saying yes. And then the Cities of Light Council came through. Mm-hmm. And they would help our group actually journey to a city of light, which is in New Earth, and they guided that, and I turned that into a guided meditation. And then they asked if I wanted to be, a channel for the Galactic Council. I was like, really? Where's that in my contract? Can you show me that?
It's rough enough.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. And on top of that, they wanted me to be the voice of the Galactic Council. I was like, I was still coming out of, corporate. And I was like, really? And so I said yes. And then I got all kinds of messages. And this is where even the next level of my own personal growth and development and expansion and awareness really powered up. So at this particular time, I started realizing how I was in control of everything. I was the one that's creating all of this. And I don't mean that on just a kind of regular level. I mean, like, I pre-planned it, all of it, parents, everybody. And so I started giving out awards, Academy Awards. My parents are both deceased, but I started giving out Academy Awards to people because to those who had, done anything toward me. And I was grateful because everything that they had taught me was the contrast that I needed, since I know that really I come in a very different way, and in a way that we come in with a greater knowing, but we have to choose that. We have to choose the unknowing or the not knowing, the forgetting. And so I was giving Academy Awards out, Mom and Dad were winning awards, and it was a whole new level of existence because I realized that everything was planned. Then I had one more amazing, I have many more, but one more pivotal experience. My Reiki master teachers, they were also doing other energy work. They came in and they did an attunement. And through my heart, I journeyed and I went way past like what would look like space or dark space, like way past that. And to me, all I could say is it looks like a great big ball of light. And I was in Source. I was in that experience of being one with Source. And I use the word source because God just has too much
baggage.
Yeah, exactly. So I was in Source, feeling the oneness of it all. And it was pure bliss. It was pure bliss. And I didn't have to die to do that either, by the way. And I was in that moment. And then, Alex, I burst from oneness. I birthed from oneness. And I birthed as an individuated source spark. And I could see where I was or am, all that is, all that consciousness is here. I am that, you are that. And I knew that I was the one creating every experience multidimensionally. I could see that I was a multidimensional being. I could feel it. I could see that my projections into each of these multidimensionalities would look different in every dimension. I could feel that I was Source experiencing through my unique perspective. And that's why it's so important that everyone shares their unique perspective, because it is that, but it's all Source speaking through them, or all Source, you are that. And that changed everything for me. I no longer thought of Source as some separate entity or some separate being. I am that. We all are that. And I create everything. I create everything and I co-create everything. And I know that we all chose to step into this third dimension. The parameters of the third dimension, the parameters of operation, if you will, the construct of this matrix, we all chose that. It's the contrast. And that's the third dimension. That's not a fifth dimension experience. It's a third dimension experience. And in the physical. So I know that we all jumped into the third dimension. We hopped into this particular life timeline because we're shifting into a fifth dimension frequency, a new earth frequency.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Right? And so you'd have to go through all of those experiences to know that contrast. Because if I came in already knowing the fifth dimension, then I wouldn't be able to help people to do soul liberating forgiveness, to really make that an understanding. And on top of that, I know you want to ask me a question, but on top of that, it's really important to understand that we are creating all of this. So even though there's contrast, there is no, it's like Smith and Neo in the Matrix, right? That last scene where they absorb each other, where he absorbs and he surrenders to the dark side of him or the shadow side of him. He absorbs it and they become one. And then the light prevails. The light, he just moves into a whole different level of light.
Of
right?
consciousness.
Of consciousness, exactly.
Well, so it's really interesting. Many things you said were interesting, but one part that I think would be very helpful for people is that you've gone through trauma in your life, and the way you've reconciled that trauma psychologically, even on a psychological basis, is that you needed the contrast in order to grow, in order to see. And you can't walk into this life knowing what's going to happen. If not, what's the point of this all?
Exactly.
It's kind of like us playing a video game. You turn on and you start level 1. If you know where everything's going to be and where the monsters are going to pop out and who's going to try to stop you, there's no point. You won't learn anything. Mm-hmm. Now, that's easy to say in a, looking back observer world, but when you're in it, mm-hmm. it's very difficult to kind of wrap your head around it. You kind of saw a poster out in the hallway with my one of the most traumatic things that happened in my life when I almost made a $20 million movie for the mob. Had my life threatened for a year. That experience was so pivotal to me. It was, literally absolutely stressed out for a year while being so close to your dream and being tortured essentially mentally for a year. After it's taken me decades to really reconcile what happened. But once I wrote the book, I understood that was the contrast I needed. If it wasn't for Jimmy, my gangster, as I like to call him, if it wasn't for him, I'm not sure I would be doing this work.
Exactly.
Because I started off being a podcast about filmmaking and helping filmmakers avoid what I went through. Mm-hmm. And then that just spilled over into what I'm doing now. I'm not sure. Maybe. But I'm not sure I would have gone down this road if it wasn't for that. It just was such a pivotal part of my life. Very difficult at the time to go through, but it was needed. Without that, and I know on the other side when we all sitting down, hey, who wants to be the guy? I'll do it. I'm going to have a hell of a run this time. It's going to hurt a lot of people. I'm going to be that dude. And I got to learn that stuff on my end too. I'm going to spend time in prison. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really exciting. I'll do it for you, Alex. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm like, great. All right, I'll see you down there. Hit me up when I'm around 26. All right? Like, yeah. We'll find each other. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
That's kind of the way it is. And it's very difficult for people listening sometimes, especially if they've gone through trauma. They're like, I didn't choose my parents. I didn't choose the trauma that they came in. I didn't choose that abusive relationship. I didn't choose the horrible things that happened to me. But in many ways, if you look at it from a spiritual blueprint, what would be your life without those experiences? Mind you, obviously a lot more pleasant, but none of us get out of here without some scarring, some shrapnel.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or form. Some have a lot more. Some are born into environments that they'll never get out of. Yeah. Like horrible places under religious persecution or old systems and abuse and the list goes on and on. War zones. They just will never be able to get out of it in this life. But
it's true. Yes. I also read Akashic Records. Okay. So what that also has allowed me to do is to see that since we're all source, everything is source. Some are more forgotten source, more forgotten light than others, but maybe because of the role that they chose. But we choose all of our experiences from love. And I know that sounds really difficult to hear sometimes, but when we're in that state, we're in that elevated state before we incarnate, we actually choose it from love, with love. And think about the people who had to play those bad guy roles. They volunteered. That's how much they love you. It's not because they're out to get you. It's not because there's some revenge on the other side. They're actually in a state of, I will do this for you because I know this will help you grow or this will help you wake up. So how much love does it have to take for someone to play that icky role? And I can guarantee you, we've all played that role.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we're always a hero or a villain in someone's life.
Right.
Now, we're always the hero in our villain, in our life, right? In our story. Darth Vader, he was solid.
Yeah.
Thanos, he was just trying to help overpopulation of the universe.
That's right.
I mean, he was going about it a little bit intensely, but that's what his... So generally speaking, if you are somewhat of sound mind, if you will, I hate to use that term, but you usually are the hero. You will tell yourself stories in order to make yourself feel good about what has happened or how. So if I hurt you, it's your fault. You did this, or and then you can build up stories in your head about it, where without that, you won't learn, you won't grow. And some of the greatest lessons the only times you learn real major lessons is through contrast.
And that's what this dimension is.
That's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it is. So we really couldn't necessarily avoid all of that unless we were just here to, kind of cruise through to the fifth dimension experience. But
or if you come in as a walk-in master.
As a walk-in master.
Which is very, very few souls throughout history of humanity.
Why didn't I choose that gig?
Because they had already gone through the stuff that
right?
But they come in, and even some of those take time to become enlightened.
Yes.
Buddha took a minute.
Exactly.
Jesus took a minute.
That's exactly right.
There are some saints in the yogic traditions and in the Eastern philosophies in China and so on that they come in fully formed. There's very rare stories of that. As a child, they just know. They're doing things. And there was glimpses of that with Jesus. He would yell at the priest in the temple at 5.
Yeah.
But there was those 18 years, and we won't get into it, but there was those 18, yada, yada, yada years, as I like to call it, that he was off doing something.
Yeah.
And then he shows up, yada, 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 on a donkey.
That's exactly it, though. Yeah. And that's because he went through some type of training. Now, the thing is we all come in, anyone who is here to help us move, to help us shift into the new earth or the 5D frequency, anyone who's come in, we have a resume. We have a cosmic resume that is mastery. We're already masters. This isn't something that you become. This is something that unfolds. This is because once you're holding a certain amount of light quotient or you get to a certain point, then it unfolds for you. It comes out and it reveals itself. And so you may not, you may feel a little shaky, you may not be really clear, but it comes out and you're then implementing more of that mastery. But you had to go through all of the other stuff just so you could know exactly what the contrast was, because everything we experience goes into the collective consciousness. Everything. So if we're waking up, that's going into the consciousness. If we've gone into, and this collective consciousness, by the way, is what is feeding our current situation, all of it. It's always been feeding it, but that is feeding the contrast. So if we came in knowing we're coming into this, and we also know that we're going to be on the other side of this, and by the way, Alex, I have seen New Earth. We are already there because we are multidimensional beings. We already have a fifth dimensional aspect. And some of us look like a New Earth human, and some of us don't, but we are the ones that are projecting us into this third dimension. And that what's occurring is our physicality, our physical body is what's catching up to all of that, because that's the part that makes it unique for Earth humans, is to physically move back up into a dimension where we've already been, where we already are. And in fact, so much of those messages that are coming through from those aspects of us that are already there. So I say, for example, or the New Earth High Council always says, it's already so. We're in it. And we're just, right now what's occurring is we're receiving the information, the activations, because we came in with that also encoded in our DNAs. We already know that we're on this track to to wake up into that new and shift into that. I've seen it. I've been there. I know even during a QHHT session, we wake up and I see that we make it. We made it. So what happens is, for me, to look at the world the way it is right now is, to me, I can perceive it as, well, this is how we got there. This is how we got there, all this contrast, because once we start integrating all of those aspects of ourselves that's being reflected by the outside, what's being reflected externally for us is what's going on within that needs to be absorbed, that needs to be, like Neo and Smith, right? Mm-hmm. It needs to be absorbed and loved. It dissolves. The divisiveness dissolves when it's all equally loved. And that's where we're headed. We're trying to move into that, where we're bringing it all in. We don't have to like what's going on. We just have to love it, because all of the dark wants to be loved too at some point. It wants to come back into to light.
Well, as the old saying says, hurt people hurt people. And it's fascinating because all the negative things that are happening around the world right now, by the way, it's always been that way.
Right.
It's actually been much worse.
Yeah.
Much, much, much worse.
Yeah.
We just are more aware of a lot of things that are going on because of social media, because of technology, because of internet and so on, that we're seeing a lot of this stuff. But the idea of becoming the observer as opposed to the participant is really interesting to me. It's kind of like the way I look at, like, I stopped watching the news a long time ago. Anytime I've actually even glanced at it, you could just sense the energy coming through. It's always negative. It's always very fear-based. It's always, because that's what it's been working. Hence, their numbers are dropping like stones.
Yeah.
And shows like this are getting higher ratings than shows on cable right now.
Absolutely.
Which is insane to me. It's insane, but that's where people are starting to lean. Old media doesn't understand that. Old Hollywood doesn't understand that. They're struggling because, and you can see it. They're all struggling. They're all trying to figure out what we want as this new shift is happening. But to approach the world as an observer as opposed to a participant is very interesting, and I'll clarify, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it a little bit about that. When there is a great global issue, whether it be financial, whether it be a pandemic, you can participate in the drama, or you can step back a little bit and watch it as an observer. Kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting that's happening. Wow, that's going on. Not to say that you're not going to catch something if there's a pandemic or the financial crisis wouldn't hurt you in one way, shape, or form, but the energy and the perspective is a lot different. Because I was mentioning the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I mentioned that I was talking to a channel, and they were talking about there's going to be a financial collapse of some sort. And again, this is not mystic. Just look at the markets, and we're already getting hints of what's going on and all that stuff. So it's cyclical anyway. But the first place he went to, and he's a spiritual guy, he went to a place of fear, like, where do I put my money? Where's it going to have that? It went straight to fear. It was really fascinating to watch that. And when I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, I know where, I'm keeping everything and, all that stuff. It's under the bed, obviously. Just invest in golden bullets. No, I'm joking. It's a joke. It's a shelf stable food. Watching too much Walking Dead. Just way too much Walking Dead back in the day. But when something like that comes up, I'm like, it's interesting. Like what's going on with AI right now. Mm-hmm. It almost senses like a daily thing for me. Like that's on my feed, is AI and AI development. So I'm always watching to see what's going on. And the things that they're dropping now, I'm like, what? It's so insane and how fast it's moving. But I'm not looking at it from a negative point. I look at it very positive personally. I don't think it's Terminator. I don't think, that Skynet's going to take over, the Matrix, that kind of apocalyptic vibe. I don't think so, because that would not help us as a collective to grow. the contrast can't overtake the light.
Yeah.
It just can't. It has to be a balance.
Yeah.
It has to be a balance. So I do think that AI is going to do a lot of good in the world. There's going to be pain, like with any technology. How many jobs were lost when the internet showed up?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think so much depends on your focus.
Correct.
Because your focus is what is feeding the collective. And if you're focused on the narrative that is being projected out there, but remember, they're all just doing their role. They are here doing exactly that, and what they've taken on as that role is a reflection of what's going on within us. So if we move into fear, then what is the fear truly? Fear is all about not feeling connected to your source self. That's within. If you don't feel connection, if you feel disconnected, and you're focusing that your whole life is based on the external world, then it's a roller coaster ride.
We've done that.
Yeah. Yes.
Most humans do.
Yes.
I used to associate myself when I was a young man to my career. Mm-hmm. So when my directing career was not going the way I wanted to, my life was horrible.
Yeah.
And then when it was going well, it was wonderful. And a lot of people identify as the relationship they're in. If they're in a good relationship at the time, their life is great. If they're not, so it's external. If my money's doing well, great. If not, whatever that thing is,
yes,
is what you. So then you're never going to be happy,
right? Because
you're giving yourself to the exterior. Where if you are happy within, and nothing around you can faze you. That's why I love watching and studying the Ascended Masters. Even the yogis that I've spoken to here or have read about, they are so in touch with who they are, the truth, that outside of them, nothing really, you could throw them in a hurricane and they would just be,
right.
Fine. It's fine.
And to accept that, that they're on their own journey.
Everyone is.
Yeah. Everybody is on their own journey. So if they're having an experience that is the opposite of yours, but they show up in your world, you can say, wait, do I need to take a minute and go within and see, where that isn't resolved within myself? And then, yeah.
Yeah. So I want, before I forget, because at my age.
You cannot say that.
I know a lot of people like, Alex, just shut up. I'm older than I look, but anyway, like I told you, I'm 75.
I'm still older
I look
than you.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I look fantastic
You look
fantastic. For my age. I look fantastic. See, I'm already forgetting what I was about to say. What did you see? You see, this is what happens.
About going within and making sure that it's.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry.
This is exactly what I was saying.
It'll come to you.
All right, so continue.
Well, it was about first, something might show up and then.
There it is.
Okay.
So this is something that I learned only within the last few years, is when a certain human being comes into your life, before you'd be just like, if someone runs into you, literally, or there's a negative experience, or someone is testing you in a way that they've come into your orbit, you've attracted that into your orbit in one way, shape, or form. You might not understand why, but that's happened. So I had an experience a few years ago where someone came in, and it was almost and I'm a grown man at this point in my life, but this guy was a bully. And I was like, oh, and he was like doing, construction work or something like that. And he was trying to be a bully about like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, and it was a very skeevy kind of situation. And I had to stand up to him. And I stood up to him 110%, to the point where he backed down because he didn't know what to do. And I just stood my ground. And it was a test because in the past, I've had that guy in my life many times. Jimmy, my gangster.
Right.
He's just a diluted version of Jimmy. And I wanted to, because Jimmy was the ultimate bully in my life. So this guy was trying to push me around. And I think the universe was testing me one last time. Like, let's make sure he's got this before he goes further. And I was able to stand up to him. And then he just, poof, gone.
Wow.
He was gone. We cleared up everything that needed to be cleared up. Within a day, he was gone.
So he was reflecting to you how you've taken your power back, how that didn't
crush me.
Yeah, it just didn't. It just didn't affect you the same way. You already have taken your power back. You know how to stand in your own frequency and stand in your own body, for example, and be fully present. That's a huge thing, and I love when those things show up, just to kind of show you, hey, by the way, Alex, you did a great job. Look where you are compared to where you used to be, kind of thing, right?
There's things that have happened to me on the show that have tested me, and I had to stand my ground.
Yeah.
Not in the show, but in the business in general, like in the spiritual space. And I stood my ground, and I was like, no. And I'm too old for this crap anymore. I'm not putting up with stuff anymore. I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm at a place in my life where I'm just like, look, guys.
Well, really, it's because it's your truth. And your unique perspective, your truth, is to be expressed. It's to be shared. Here's another one that I know people just really don't like, but we actually are perfect.
Well,
People don't like that. But if your source expressed, you're perfect. And everything that's occurring in your life is perfect. It's exactly the way it is meant to be. And how you navigate through that is up to you, right? You can extend that time, or you can really get your stuff together and, feel yourself.
Do the work.
Yeah, do the work, the inner work. And that makes all the difference in the world.
I mean, I'll tell you, like, just the experience of doing this show for the years I've been doing it. Now we just hit 4 years, but truly three and change is when I really took it seriously. Just the experience of seeing what's happened with the show and the energies of the people that come in and all of that, it's exactly the way it needed to be. Mm-hmm. And I've realized I wasn't controlling it. That was a huge lesson for me. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
You don't do the numbers that we did so quickly and grow so rapidly. In any industry, let alone in this one,
right?
Without something else doing. I'm not saying I'm divinely, none of that crap. But something is working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing anything different.
Right.
I've been podcasting for 10 years now.
But you're in alignment with why you're here, and this is what you would call a next phase, right? But then there's still going to be other. There's still going to be other things that occur for you. But I mean, I don't know if you mind me sharing
Please.
that when I first walked in here, I could feel that this is an actual. It's like a tube of light. It's a column of light that goes multidimensionally, and your heart. Everybody's heart that's really into this, because you're holding this intense energy in this space. I mean, you've got these guys, but you two are also the masters that are holding this intense space. And you've opened it up for all the channels to be able to, like a beacon, for all the channels to say, okay, I'm coming here, I'm delivering this message, because you're spreading it out to everyone. But it's more than just what they hear. It's an activation. It's an elevation. When people listen to what's coming through, the messages, the conversations, everything is that elevation. And that, of course, is going into the collective consciousness, but it just raises the planet. So, for example, there's a grid system. There's a grid system, of course,
the energy,
and the
energy
5D grid system, and you're holding that right here. Of course, you're holding it wherever you are physically, the two of you, but you're holding it right here, very strongly, in a very concentrated way, and that goes out.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's really interesting. When you did walk in the room, I noticed that you almost teared up.
Yeah.
I started looking. I was like, I don't like seeing people cry. So I'm like, hey, look over here. Hey, look over here. But I saw you.
Yes.
I saw you really kind of feel the room the second you walked in.
I did.
I'm used to the space now, so this energy doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm used to it, so it doesn't bother me. But people, when they walk in, one person the other day said, I got to take my shoes off. I'm like,
yes.
We're not in Japan. It's okay.
Yes. I was almost going to ask the same thing.
But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. It's just been a lot of very cool human beings who've been in this room.
Yeah, and are presently. You just have that space. You're holding it for all of them to be present. Like I definitely could feel them as soon as I walked in. It's amazing. And, it's also something that that I had to learn over time is there's a great respect for that. And yet, at the same time, we're holding that frequency too. We are masters, and we're holding that frequency. It's just when you step into it with a whole bunch of, all that energy all together, it feels...
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's intense. I get it.
Yes.
I get it 110%. Mm-hmm. So when you channel, can you explain to people what your process is as far as what you're feeling? Do you remember? Are you energized? Are you depleted? All of that stuff.
Right. So I'm a clairvoyant and clairaudient. I do feel things too as well. What happens is normally I channel with my eyes open, but I'm going to close them. And normally what just happens, I have to kind of step out of the way. I'm a conscious channel, but I step out of the way because otherwise I'll just be, trying to decipher what it is that I'm seeing. In fact, I asked why I was clairaudient first before clairvoyant, and they said because you would look at something and interpret it based on your life experiences. So we wanted to give you the auditory first and then support it with the visual. So then I would see what was coming through. And I get I'm very energized by it. I just allow it to come through. And sometimes afterwards, I'll start laughing. So I'll burst out in laughter. So it's definitely energizing. And feel free to join me if I do.
Oh, there's no lack of me laughing on this show.
I can tell.
I love laughter. I think it's something that's needed in this space. People take this stuff too seriously. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can't, I've had comments like, you can't be laughing at, I'm like, are you kidding? It's called the laughing Buddha.
Yes, exactly.
Jesus has a great sense of humor.
He does.
So does God, for that matter. Yeah. The platypus. But anyway, have you seen a platypus?
Exactly. It is so much joy and so much laughter. And what's crazy is that's actually our natural state. Correct. Because we're
Kids.
Source.
Look at children. Children
right?
are in a beautifully happy state all the time.
Exactly.
Generally speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, unless they're on the third row of the airplane in front of you. No, just kidding. No,
they don't have their goldfish, but something along those lines. All right, so we'll, if you don't mind, would you like to do a little channeling for us?
I sure will.
And who comes through, and who's coming through this time, or is there going to be multiple people or groups?
Yeah, so I think the New Earth High Council will come through first, or maybe that's who's going to stay. I'm not really sure. You know what? I'm just going to get out of the way.
And we'll see what happens, okay?
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll.
All right. Greetings, dear ones. We are the New Earth High Council, and we are a collective. That is to say, we are the we of you. All who will be listening to this now and forever is actually present in this moment, delivering the message that each person is meant to hear. You see, dear ones, we are very excited about what is occurring. And what is occurring is this transformation. You are smack dab in the middle of it. We want you to understand that you are constantly adding your light quotient. You are constantly augmenting. And your physicality is starting to speed up. You will feel this more and more as you are embracing the light and allowing. It may feel a bit disorienting, and yet we've got you. The we of you have got you. You are never alone. We are always present. And in our presence, we are here to support every step of the way. What we wish for you to understand at this particular moment is that the doors, if you will, or the portal, if you will, of your own your own physicality, that is your heart. When you are in alignment with your heart and the source that is within there, this is the first part that helps you align multidimensionally. Now, we say this because multidimensionally is very, very important. The fifth dimension is the first portal, if you will, the first level where all other dimensions come in, the first gateway where all other dimensions will come in. And all beings are here. You have many that are in what you would call your skies, and also within your energetic field, right in the space where you are sitting. You are never alone, and all aspects of you in all life timelines are present in this moment. For you see, you have come into this actual timeline to experience the transition. You are here anchoring in the light, even when you feel like you have no understanding of that, or you feel doubt about it, or you're not clear. Rest assured, you are in transition. This transition time may also feel like a quiet moment, a moment where you are unable to see clearly what is coming forth into the future. Now, we use the word future for you, and yet we would say that is not true. That is not true, for it is all present in this moment. You already have a new earth aspect. Many of you who have crossed over into the near-death experience have experienced what is new earth. This is why you call it bringing heaven to earth. Heaven on earth is actually a new earth, fifth dimension frequency, and that is precisely what you will do. And all of the beings that have accompanied you, whether they are pets or humans, family, and otherwise, galactically, they are all coming into this particular space to help you in your awakening. Do you understand?
I do. Thank you so much for that.
Indeed. And we would say that as the doors open, we call them doors for you, but we would also call it a gateway of energy. It is an expansion, you see, and it may feel at times where you will not be crystal clear in your mind. You think that you are forgetting, and yet what we would say is you are remembering. This is not about a learning, it is about a remembering. And you are remembering why you came here, why you chose this particular life timeline. For you see, you came into the third dimensionality to also have the codes that have been embedded. And by the way, you are the ones that have embedded these encodings that before you incarnated, and they are being activated. And then you will anchor in the 5D frequency. What we are asking you to do is really place your focus on the higher vibrational point of view. Your kindness, your loving unconditionally, your inner peace, your alignment with your source self. Bring that into your daily life and look through the eyes of your source self. And we say that as you bring that in, then you are automatically changing your focus and moving your attention to feeding the fifth dimension matrix. For you see, it is Gaia that has already made this transformation. Gaia is also holding this frequency for you. She is a conscious being, and she is source expressed in this particular physical form. She is here assisting you with so much love, so much joy, and so much excitement too. And she is in a space where she is holding the frequency. She understands that those who are holding the contrast will help many wake up in different times. And also she knows that not all will want to pass through into this fifth dimensionality. This is not to be a judgment of any type. This is simply about what your experiences are that you have chosen to have. Do you understand?
I do.
Indeed. Would you like to ask some questions?
Yes, please. Thank you. With all the things that are happening right now in the world, do you believe we are currently experiencing a timeline split? And if so, what determines our path?
Indeed. So before you came into this life timeline, you did choose which you would which you would want to stay on in terms of the path. And yes, there is a timeline shift. You are already in the new timeline shift. We wish for you to understand this at this moment. For if you understand that you are in this timeline already, it makes aligning with your new earth aspect much easier and much quicker. And it facilitates the transformation of the physicality. For on this timeline, as a fifth dimension human, you will remain in human form until another phase of evolution occurs. And yet it will be an elevated human state. And yes, there are those who have chosen to not stay on this particular path. We would also say that many of the ones that are on the timeline for the fifth dimension new earth will want to come in and out to support others who may still want to wake up. For it is not fixed, it is simply an opportunity or a possibility for them to wake up and choose differently. Otherwise, they will simply stay on the path that they wish to stay on. This does not necessarily mean it has to be a third dimension of the earth path either, for there are other third dimension third dimension locations, if you will, that people can experience from that perspective as well. It does not have to be the same density, the same difficulties or the challenges, if you will, as this particular one. But many will choose to stay and move through that until they have completed that experience and that theme. Do you understand?
I do. My next question is, what do you see as the role of ancient portals like the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid or Mount Shasta in humanity's ascension?
They are definitely a part of this. This channel, for example, has been to both of them and has experienced those portals in the King's Chamber and in the Mount Shasta area. There are many of these portals, and they are already in the space of actually being in the fifth dimension frequency. For example, you may see them on the human level from the 3D perspective and maybe have a glimpse or a view of what they look like in their pristine state. And yet we would say that it has to do with you feeling the alignment to an expanded perspective. For that is what shifting into a fifth dimension frequency is a shift in perspective. And so we would say that these portals have been active this, what you would call time. Remember that time is part of the parameters of the third dimension. It was part of the agreement to what the third dimension would be. And so we use the word time so that you get an idea of that they have always been active. Simply on the third dimension, they look a little less active unless you are tuned into them. Do you understand?
We do. How can we trust our inner visions and messages amid the external noise and skepticism of this 3D world?
You said the key word there, dear Alex. We would say to you that it is within. You can only go within. You cannot use the external for any of that information, for anything that is of intel, you might say. There is another part that we say that once you align with your source self within, you are actually very clear about what comes to you and is showing up in a way that is contrast and meant for you to understand. We would say that the contrast will continue because that is the agreement that the contrast has. All of the contrast is meant to be loved as well, and it is to be understood that it is serving its purpose. As it serves its purpose for each person, then you will understand that there is an inner peace that no one or nothing can take from you. It is within completely. And we would say, keep trusting. Keep trusting everything that shows up, whether it is in your dreams or whether it is from a thought that simply comes in or it is from an actual channeled message. Keep listening within. This is where all of the information resides. Do you understand?
I do. In your view, what does the new earth truly look and feel like for us?
Oh, we would say it is a party. And we would say to you that it is, if you can imagine, for example, your movie that you call Men in Black, for example, you would say that there are many galactic beings that are there. And we would say that is true. And we would also say that there are your aunts and your uncles and the people that have deceased and your pets. And in many ways, it has colors and fields and in crystalline buildings, if you will, and it looks like everyday life, except that it's at an elevated state, except that instead of arguing or being in a place of contrast, you are able to explore. You are able to explore dimensions. You are able to explore more of yourself, for example. You are able to play. You are able to contribute. You are able to come back and work with others as guides, for example, or help others when they cross over in the in-between and they want to return to the three dimension. You are able to do whatever it is that you please. It is what you would call heaven. We would say that this is why you use the term heaven on earth, simply because it is a heavenly state. Do you understand?
I do. Mm-hmm. How can humanity heal the collective trauma that has accumulated across lifetimes?
In what we would say to you is that all life timelines are merged together now. For this reason, sometimes it feels like it's very intense in the trauma or the drama of someone's life. And in that merging into this one timeline, we would say, even though they still exist, of course, multidimensionally, we would also say that they are merging into this one to be aligned and to be loved. So we would say that any time that you are seeing or experiencing a contrast for you, something that triggers you, or something that just shows up out of nowhere and makes you surprised that this was your response, we would say simply look at it, feel it, for that is a gift that humans have. That is the emotions, to actually feel that emotion and then not absorb it as you, but absorb it as one of your creations. And when you absorb as one of your creations, you love it equally, all of it. For that's what no conditional love is. Unconditional love is absolute loving all of it. It is all of you, for you, by you.
If humanity fully awakened tomorrow, what would be the first thing to change?
The first thing that we would see is that there would still be those who are not completely awake, and there would be an orientation, if you will, an orientation toward what this new frequency feels like. There is a bit of what you might call, and this can occur rapidly, or this may take a little bit of time, but there will be an adjustment. Ultimately, we would say that there would be such clarity about what is being fed as lies and what is actually in truth for humanity. And the first thing would be a great sense of compassion, a great sense of unity, and a great sense of love. This feeling would permeate, and then all of the other things would fall. All of the other items, the institutions, the organizations that are not built on that would simply collapse. They would dissolve because because they would have no power over anyone, since they would feel their true inner power and their alignment within. Do you understand?
I do. With all the craziness that's happening in the world, a lot of people are very afraid of these institutions that are falling, and political strife, wars, famine, economic, all of these things. What advice do you have for people who are so fearful about what is currently happening, and where do you see us as a collective moving in the next 5 years or so?
Indeed. And we have said in years past, many years past, most likely from many channels as well, we have delivered messages that these institutions must collapse. They must come down because they are not built on love. They are not built on harmony and unity. And those institutions will indeed collapse. It is to say that it is quite a challenge to envision what a life without those things are. So, for example, we will say that eventually, not immediately, eventually the notion of money will simply disappear, because it won't be about working for money. You will be choosing from your gifts, from the experiences that you wish to have. For example, perhaps if you were a professor of mathematics, maybe you would become a teacher of telepathic abilities, or some other type of completely different, something completely out of the realm, if you understand. And what we mean to say by this is that all of these institutions will come down and will be replaced by a collective or collectives that wish to understand, that wish to hold the higher frequencies of everyone as one. For that is in truth what is. That is that we are all one. We are one with you, and there is no separation whatsoever. Within your next 5 years, you are in the process of this actually right now. We would like to say that it goes a little bit more gently, and that is simply up to the collective. For if the collective maintains its fear, it keeps feeding that program. That program cannot transition. And we would say that once you pull your energy, your collective energy and your mental energy, your physical energy, and place it into a higher frequency grid, then you will be, what you might say, plugged into a fifth dimension grid. And once you are in that grid, you experience everything completely different than what you know right now. There will be some similarities because many of you have come in with abilities, have come in with kindness, with love, compassion, and it will simply be that that is what is familiar to you. It is like learning new customs from another culture. You will simply be familiar with some of it, and some of it will become new for you. It is maybe difficult, we say, to understand or to envision that it is not going to be the same in any way that is of density at this moment. Do you understand?
I do. What gives you the deepest faith in humanity's ability to ascend and evolve in this time?
For we are you, and we have seen it. We are here. We know this to be true. We know that you are source expressed as well, and we know that this is why you came. You came to have this experience. You came to be able to add to your cosmic resume, if you will. And so we are the you. And when we say this, and all of your multidimensionality is here with you, there is not a understanding of no trust. It is complete and absolute knowing. Do you understand?
I do. And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Know that you are loved beyond measure, that there is nothing you have to do. There is nothing that you must do. There is only you being you. You came to experience this. And if you allow yourself to love yourself with no conditions, that means you are embracing all of the contrast within you. When you are able to do this, you will feel the experience of an internal peace that you have never quite known until you do this. And once you are in this space, you will know that you have instantly fed the collective of others. You are purposefully here. You intended to be here. You matter. You are important to this whole process that is unfolding in your remembering. Remember, it is already so.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, indeed. And so it is. Transmission complete.
You weren't joking.
No.
So when you come out, it comes out with this kind of burst of laughter. It's a first for us. We haven't seen that.
Oh, really?
I've never seen someone laugh like that.
My body is just holding like so much of this, this frequency, this energy, and it's pure joy. And you know what? That's our natural state. And I forget as a human, like I forget on every day, walking around. I can't be laughing all the time. People think I'm insane. Right. But I burst out laughing for no apparent reason.
So you feel energized right now?
I do. I really do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A woman after my own heart. I love laughing on the show all the time. People actually ask, he can't be this happy. I've heard those comments. They're like, you can't be that happy. I'm like, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's that call in the plate you got going on.
I appreciate that. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions to ask all my guests.
Okay.
How do you define living a fulfilled life?
A fulfilled life is just living the life that you came here to live. And you may not be clear about what that is, but you don't get it wrong. So I feel like just living your life as you are right now.
If you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Tina, what advice would you give her?
I would tell her, keep talking to your guides.
You ain't crazy.
Apparently she did.
You ain't crazy.
Yeah, you ain't crazy, exactly. Keep talking and, it's... What becomes from all of this is more than you can ever imagine. Yeah.
Now, what advice would little Tina give you today?
I got this. Oh, yeah. That's what she would say. I got this. Oh my God, that's so sweet.
You were just
She's
having a conversation. You had a conversation with her right now.
Yes, I did. I checked in with her. What would she say?
You got this, girl.
You got this. Oh, that's so sweet.
That's amazing. How do you define source?
Oh, wow. Source is all that is. It's you, it's me, it's all that is. Everything that exists is source. And we are that living expression of source, that individuated, unique source spark.
What is love?
It is also source. It's a fuel, it's an energy that maybe that moves through or is part of all of all creations, everything that is created.
How do you define liberation in this lifetime?
Liberation. Aligning with my source self. I feel that was the most liberating experience of all, was when I experienced being source and then birthing from source. And that was a complete liberation from everything and every definition I ever had about myself.
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
Well, this particular lifetime line, we're here to make this happen. We're here to assist in the wake up and anchor in the fifth dimension frequency or higher, and bring us through to another state, a new perspective, a shift in consciousness.
This is probably the most exciting time in human history to be alive.
Yes.
Because of this transition. And we all signed up for this time period.
We did.
Because this is not an easy time period.
No.
But to be honest, it is in many ways much easier than it was when we were walking around Roman times.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Or in the Dark Ages. I mean,
which we were.
I mean, we have hot showers. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We do. We have
DoorDash. I mean, it's nice. It's not, but it is on other levels a very difficult time to be. I would
say yes, and yet we really came in prepared for that. Well, as my 5-year-old self just said, we've got this. And what's really helpful is knowing that we're not alone. And there's so many more of us who are awake to that knowing, to that consciousness.
Do you believe, and this is my belief system, but do you believe that there are guardrails on humanity to the point where we won't be able to blow ourselves up, we won't be able to destroy ourselves?
Yes.
Because it's not part of the plan.
Yeah.
If we do. Because we've had the bomb.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yes.
And we've gotten close, but we've never actually done it.
Though, what I've seen, Alex, though, is in that kind of like that departure, if you will, that separation. And I really hesitate to use the word separation because once again, it becomes us and them. Mm-hmm. But in that parting of ways, if you will, meaning those who want to remain in a 3D experience and those who are here to shift into a 5D higher New Earth experience, I can't say that wouldn't be true for those who remain in the path, on the path that they are, as far as destruction. But as far as where we are right now, no, I think there are definitely guardrails. The thing is it's us. Because we're not allowing that to occur. I don't think it's because of necessarily outside forces, although we definitely, all around us, we have all kinds of beings that are here watching us and assisting in different ways, but they're not interfering.
But the thing is that, though, and for people watching, I'm saying this very specifically and very strategically. Mm-hmm. I want people to understand that it's not in the interest of the human collective for it to turn into Walking Dead or talk into The Last One or any of these shows that are apocalyptic,
right. Yeah.
Or Mad Max. It's not part of our journey. We've gone through those kind of apocalyptic experiences. If you were here in Atlantis times, you definitely did go through those times. But at this stage of human evolution, it's not it. It's just not what we're here to do at this point.
No. And I'd like to make a comment, though, on Atlantis.
Yes.
I know everybody... It's not the popular, what I'm going to say is not the popular story, but what I've understood is that Atlantis, yes, it had its technologies, and yes, there was some variations in terms of contrast, but what I understand is that Atlantis actually... Gaia, because she's been hosting us this whole time, every round of humanity she's been hosting. And so Gaia had agreed to host a third dimension matrix. And so in that matrix, the Atlantis was a fifth dimension, possibly higher, but a fifth dimension experience, exactly. And so there were those, they were, because of there were earthquakes, there was a lot of tectonic plate movements, there was time, and there were, Tahuti, for example, there were beings that were here that were saying, look, this is shifting. The Galactic Council, for example, knew that this was going to shift into a third dimension matrix, and Gaia would host that. So what had to happen for that was to
evolve.
Yeah, exactly, a little bit. So some beings that were there at the time, they just took off to wherever they were being projected from, because that's what we are, our projections into this hologram. And some of them went into Telos and Agartha and some of the inner earth. Some of them stayed there, and then some of them decided to go through the death program because they didn't have the death experience. Like 5D doesn't have the same death program that we have. We just exit out if we want to. We shift our consciousness and move into a different physical form if we want to experience that in a fifth dimension or higher. So in Atlantis, for those who knew that they would probably come into a third dimension, they agreed to go through what would be called a cataclysmic and a very dramatic, and then they would carry that with them into this third dimension frequency.
Tina, where can people find out more about you and the amazing work you're doing in the world?
Thank you. TinaMarieBueno.com or NewEarthMastery.com. I think that's the best place.
That has everything you need.
Yeah.
Is there. And Tina, do you have any parting messages for the audience?
I would say I've seen it. I've experienced it. This is all good. We don't really get this wrong. We don't. We make it. We make it, Alex. And if only I could share all of that and just transport that information or transmit that information, then maybe people could feel like there's more peace within. And I would just say, align with your inner source self, and that'll be your, if you want to call it, your ticket, your ride, the rest of the way.
Tina, I appreciate you being on the show and everything you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing your episode on the channeled Masterclasses that we're going to record as well on Next Level Soul TV. And I just appreciate you, your beautiful energy,
Thank you.
Your beautiful message to humanity that we need right now, I think more than ever. And I just appreciate you helping awaken this planet. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And I definitely appreciate you and all the work that you're doing, because it's massive.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.